Chris Hemsworth has been an actor since the early 2000s. When he was in his early 20s, he became a household name for his major role in one of the biggest franchises in the world. The actor has shown off his strength many times, but new pictures show just how ripped he is. Want to learn a little more about Chris Hemsworth? Well then, just stay tuned. First, let's talk a little about Chris Hemsworth.
Let's see who you are and take off your disguise. And flick!
Chris Hemsworth was born in the year 1983 in Melbourne, Australia. After high school, at the age of 19, he began his career as an actor, appearing in many different television series. Hemsworth appeared in the series Guinevere Jones, as well as Neighbours. His minor big break came 2 years later when he got the role of Kim Hyde in the famous Australian soap opera Home and Away. In 2009, 2 years after he left the show, he appeared in the role of George Kirk, who is the father of the popular character James T. Kirk in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek film. It wasn't until 2 years later in 2011 that Chris Hemsworth got the role of a lifetime. Hemsworth got the role of Thor Odinson from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hemsworth first appeared as Thor in 2011 for the solo Thor film. Over the next few years, he reprised his role in 2012 for The Avengers, which was the highest-grossing film of 2012. That same year, Hemsworth branched out into horror movies, appearing in the cult classic 2012 film Cabin in the Woods. Since then, Hemsworth's career has seemingly only gone up. Next, let's talk about what Chris Hemsworth is up to a decade after his big break. Chris Hemsworth was already a big name by the time he'd played Thor. In his home country, he was a very big star, and in 2009, he was already big enough to work alongside stars such as Steve Hahn, Mila Jovovich, and Timothy Olyphant in movies like The Perfect Getaway. With that being said, you'd be lying straight if you said that his career hasn't been boosted an incredible amount since 2012. Hemsworth has appeared in remakes of insanely popular movies from the past, such as Vacation and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, as well as his fair share of new original projects. Original projects like his Disney Plus television show Limitless with Chris Hemsworth. Limitless with Chris Hemsworth is the new Chris Hemsworth project that features footage of him in different places all around the world doing different activities. The show takes a look at all of the many ways that people could longer their life. Of course, because it's Chris Hemsworth, the life-extending ways they explore all include taking on physical challenges. These challenges vary, but there have been instances of Hemsworth climbing actual skyscrapers as well as diving into ice. Now let's talk about the new Chris Hemsworth picture that's got the internet falling in love. There were two main reasons that people enjoyed Chris Hemsworth's performance as Thor in the Marvel films. The first was that his performance perfectly depicted the childish god in a way that Stan Lee himself couldn't help but be proud of. The second was that many people found Chris Hemsworth to be incredibly attractive. 10 years and 3 children since Thor was first released, Hemsworth is still posting Instagram posts to show his many devoted followers that he hasn't lost it. Posts like the one he posted on Instagram that was very well received by his 56 million followers worldwide. The photo was of Chris Hemsworth outside in the bathtub with 2 of his children with a caption that said the kids wanted a boat trip, but the best he could offer was a nice bath outside, adding that they may have been disappointed with the outcome of things. Many fans loved seeing the actor show love and support toward his children, but that wasn't all. In the picture, Hemsworth is without a shirt, and as if that wasn't enough to make the hearts of fans beat at super speed, he's also striking a pose that flexes his well-developed biceps. Moving on, let's discuss his hero-like decision. The goal of Limitless is to go above and beyond and do things that some people may be too afraid to do. Things like holding gigantic snakes and even being choked by them. In the series, Hemsworth does many brave things, and for the most part, they don't have any long-standing effects. The most recent risk he's taken, on the other hand, has proved to be something that will stick with him forever and even change the way he does things. In an episode of his Disney Plus show, Hemsworth took a DNA test and watched as most people's worst nightmare came true. He learned that he's had a gene passed down to him from both of his parents, which increases his likelihood of getting Alzheimer's by around 12%. While this warning does not set in stone that you will suffer from the disease, it is still something very scary and makes Alzheimer's more of a threat than a fear. Not long after he learned that he was at risk, he announced that his show, along with the rest of his career, would be going on hold so that he could have more time to spend with his wife and their children. Speaking of his warning, let's take a look at how he reacted. Many people agreed with Hemsworth when he said that finding out his likeliness for Alzheimer's was his biggest nightmare, but despite that, he is doing all he can to not let it drive him crazy. In an interview, Hemsworth said that the first thing he he wanted to do was make sure that he did not over-dramatize it. He also did not want to manipulate the situation, saying that he did not want to turn it into a grasp for empathy in the name of entertainment. While he is worried, he's not letting it consume him, and he's also made it clear that the warning will not mean the end of his career, saying that it isn't as if he has turned in his resignation. Hemsworth made it very clear that he's not leaving for good and that he simply wants to take time off, but we still don't know when he plans to return. In the same interview, Hemsworth is asked if he would tell his kids about what he discovered, to which he responded that he believed he would tell them when they were older, that is, if they didn't find out for themselves. Switching back to the topic of movies, let's talk about Star Trek 4. In 2016, Sony released Star Trek Beyond. The film did well, and Sony was ready to move forward with another movie just 2 years later in 2018. The film would have featured a return of Hemsworth's character George Trek. Alongside him would have been his son James T. Kirk, played by Chris Pine. Despite the script being confirmed written by J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, and S.J. Clarkson coming on board as a director, the film just never got made. Hemsworth appeared on a podcast where he was asked about the movie and what happened to it. According to Hemsworth, the movie, to him, seemed as if it were cool and filled with many good ideas, but people within the cast and crew found themselves too busy to dedicate their time to the movie. While he thought some good news were going toward the movies, there were also some factors that he questioned. For instance, he did not think that flashing back to show George Kirk would make sense, considering how much older he'd been since he was last seen. Despite his question, he did say that he was willing to give the movie another shot, even suggesting that people campaign to get it going. Finally, let's talk about the new direction Hemsworth thinks Thor should go in. Chris Hemsworth has been the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Thor for a whole decade, and since then, he's become the face that people have associated with the character. It only makes sense that he would have some say in how he behaves on screen. Who knows better about Thor than the man who's played him on screen for 10 years? The main complaint that Hemsworth had with this character is one that many people agreed with, and have been complaining about ever since the last Thor movie, Thor: Love and Thunder. Hemsworth had grown tired of how much of the Thor films had been comedic and had Thor acting like a complete fool. Hemsworth said that if he were to return to playing the character, there would need to be huge changes, which he said was not only for the films but for his sanity. He also heavily suggested that if there is the next film, it should be the last, saying that he felt it was probably time to close the book. He said that there was a great deal of potential with the character of Thor, and he also said he wasn't sure if it was yet time for the death of the hero. Chris Hemsworth is one of the most beloved actors in Hollywood, so it's no surprise that people were bummed to hear he's taking a step away. But they understood it was necessary. Did you watch Limitless on Disney+? What do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. That concludes our video today. Tell us your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. See you next time!